Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Boom Boom with KocoSports.com. And if you look at the title of the show, you know I'm going to do a preview of Dave Koco's new novel, Operation Freakshow. Now, if you're a longtime listener and a longtime follower here of us at KocoSports.com, you know that Dave Koco is just like Dr. Frankenstein, man. He's got all these ideas up in his head. And, well, he made a deal and he wrote a book. And as you know, we've been plugging it here. He's been plugging it here. He's been begging people to check out his book. It's his first book. It's his debut. Hopefully it won't be his last. But he wants everybody to check it out. So I'm going to tell everybody. So I thought, how can I help out Koco? I know I can give you a little bit of a preview here. So if you'll look down here in the description below, I've got ways you can purchase it. You can purchase it through Amazon.com. It'll run you about $12. So it's not very expensive here. So I'm going to give you a little preview here. So Operation Freakshow, a novel by Ray Fisher. Don't know who that guy is. I think he's another white guy living in Tokyo. And Dave Koco. See on the back, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there's Koco right there, the stupid looking guy in the black shirt. Yeah, that's him. All right, so let's get started. Operation Freakshow. We're going to go a novel. Goes through copyright stuff. This book is dedicated to all those with scars from their childhood that will never heal. For those who know real monsters don't come from under the bed, they stumble in the late hours of the night and steal your innocence. Freakshow is not a hero for the masses. They would never understand, but to us, he is the hero we dream to be. Nice. Chapter 1. The Holy Bible is tattered. Upon closer observation, one can see that this particular Bible is bound in calf hide, not of any of that faux leather crap they try to bind the sacred scriptures with now. On the spine, the fading glimmer of the letters K, J, and V are visible. Having seen decades of use and passing through countless hands, it is now missing its back cover. It boasts less the testament of God and more of a testament of its own and its ever-increasing lackluster. A woman holds this sacred scripture in a dimly lit room. She is sandwiched between her husband and a reading light that sits atop a cheap nightstand overburdened with dog-eared gossip magazines, tobacco ash, fast food wrappers, and moldy cheese dip. The couple, the book, the reading light, the nightstand, everything in this room, in effect, seems to complement one another, a complement that extends beyond the borders of this room to the rest of the domicile. All these things of which through the years and abuse, misuse, ignorance, and neglect now shamelessly is put on display for those to behold. The stained blanket strewn across the bed to stir as the husband makes what can only be described as an ambiguous moan. Without knowing the couple's circumstances, one might almost arrive at the conclusion that he's in pain. The husband lets out a sigh of frustration through his obscenely large nostrils and reaches over to grab his wife's sagging, freckled breast. She smacks his hand away and continues to read, though she can no longer concentrate. There will be no more reading tonight. I'm horny and you're my wife, he reactively sputters at the rejection. He shoots her a glance of contempt, adding, last I checked, part of your job is to suck my dick. She ignores him. He reaches behind her head and grabs a fistful of her frayed hair. She lets out a yelp and fights to free herself. He tugs on her hair with so much force she can hear it being torn from her scalp. He shoves her head downward. The stench emanating from her husband's crotch is more than pungent than the spore dispatching cheese dip on her bedside table. I'm not in the mood. I've got a headache, she manages to cry between her gasp for the stale bedroom air. You always have a fucking headache, bitch. Her expression knots into a ball. Don't call me a bitch, he screams back. She breaks herself, clutching the Bible. She falls back into her pillow just as her husband swings his hand towards her face. A long crack emanating from behind her pierces through the room, and everything's to jolt up with excitement. She looks up and sees her husband's closed fist against the headboard. He curses through his clenched teeth as his free hand darts and book pressed against her chest. Before she has any time to react, the book being hurled into the darkness of the room, a soft thud is heard. Her husband pulls his hand away from the lacquered slats. His knuckles are raw, becoming flushed. He forces himself onto her pelvis using his knees. He slowly pries her legs open. Please don't, she replies. A genuine fear in her eyes. She would have been much better off if she had not dodged his swing. Still struggling to free herself, she is consequently backhanded in the mouth with his injured hand. She stops moving. She feels so stupid. Things would have been over much quicker if she just didn't struggle. A trickle of warmth descends her cheek to think there was one time when she would willingly have sex with her now smelly crotched abuser. He grunts, "Fuck you, you bitch. I'm fucking you no matter what. Who pays the fucking bills around here? Me. I'm the man." Her eyes slowly well up with tears and everything becomes a blur. She looks towards the nightstand, anything to take her mind off this ordeal. She is bone dry and the pain is unbearable. "Who's the fucking man?" he asks with an eye of satisfaction. He places his leathery hands around her neck and squeezes. "Get wet, you old hag. It's like fucking my grandmother down there." He presses his lips together and sucks his cheeks in. His tongue sweeps the inside of his mouth for lubricant. He searches behind his tonsils for any available moisture, but is only met with a dry inflammation that he has done well up, until now to ignore. He undulates his jaw and then ejects a thin, frothy substance into his hand. The discolored saliva, mucus, and the food particles pooling in his palm is a meager portion at best. Disappointed as he is, it will have to do. He massages his concoction into her groin like it were a savory hand being prepared for a roast. He attempts once more to fully penetrate her, but cannot. As much as he tries to force his way, his penis only yields and bends. He braces the shaft with his fist in one last ditch effort for success, only to fail once more. Blood begins to trickle out of the small tear in her vagina. The applied lubricant, having now dried completely, leaves a curious sour aroma behind. Finally giving up, he decides to pull out his sticky foreskin, catching on her dry labia as his phallus retracts. "I'm sorry," she says, acknowledging her husband's frustration. He can't stay erect for much longer. "You sure are sorry. Finish the job." Pressure is relieved on her trachea as he shifts his hand towards the back of her head. Yanking her head forward, he begins to smother her face with his engorged penis. Her hot exhalation on his glands make him giddy with excitement. Horrified, she makes a muffled cry and pulls away. The bed feels wet. She looks down to see her inner thighs smeared with blood, her husband's pubic hair and scrotum bear flecks and patches of red offset from her injuries. "Oh, that's it, bitch. You some kind of holy roller? You too good to suck me off, you Bible-thumping whore?" She falls off the bed in fright, grabbing the frayed blanket on the floor. She scoots to the corner of the room. "Please," she says, after taking a breath, "please, no more. I'm getting my dick wet one way or another, and after seeing how you have a case of grandma pussy, which obviously comes with a headache." He halts mid-sentence, ignoring his appearance. He drags himself to the edge of the bed, and while massaging his injured hand, stands up with a new conviction. "I'll look elsewhere." She jumps from the corner and grabs the mattress, pulling herself towards him. "I'll do it. I'm sorry, I'll do it." "Too late, bitch," he states with disinterest. The floor groans under his weight as he leaves the room. He possesses a limp, which causes him to move with a subtle unevenness. There is a punched-out, hollow wooden door leaning on the wall adjacent to the doorway. It has been removed from its hinges since she once tried to lock herself in this room. The sound of her husband's sticky feet adhering and then pulling away from the vinyl flooring becomes fainter. She looks in the direction where she thinks she heard the soft thud earlier. She begins to crawl, but her movement is impaired by the tender throbbing sensation between her legs. Moving slowly through the filth of the discarded tissue and overdue utility bill envelopes that are strewn across the floor, she makes her way to the far side of the room. Looking straight ahead, she can see it. Near a half-empty bottle of generic dark cola, the Word of God lying face down in his soiled work shirt. Its final pages reflects in a glow, standing out in stark contrast to its surrounding. She outstretches her hand. In a much smaller room, a boy, nearly oblivious to his surrounding, grips action figures in each hand and bashes them together repeatedly. Within his peripheral vision, the reverse side of a Worldwide Wrestling Federation blanket pulled up over his head and top of the bare mattress, action figures and himself. He sits hunched over, cross-legged, a flashlight positioned between his legs pointing upward. His constant fidgeting creates a perpetual change of his shadow. It grows and shrinks, at times almost completely engulfing his surroundings in a darkness only to retreat a moment later. He makes a peculiar sounds, imitating the howls and taunts of grown men fighting in his soft whispers. Behind him lies a small spiral-bound notepad with a fighter's bracket crudely sketched onto it. Tonight, Bam Bam Bigelow versus Captain Kamada. Further names are scribbled on the paper, but its writing is illegible. The boy's in the middle of a positioning Captain Kamada for an aerial maneuver as a loud crack pulls his attention away from the match. He jolts up and grabs his flashlight without missing a beat. He depresses the button, cloaking the entire room in darkness. Moving slowly, he pokes his head out from the blanket. The bombastic parster of Manuel El Montonsor Jr., a popular Mexican luchador, looks down upon him from the wall, holding his CMLL championship belt. His mattress reverberates with the sound of popping springs. He is slowly breathing. He listens intently for any further noises coming from the house. After a long break of absolute silence, muffled cries start to come through the walls. His heart races. The pulsating is felt first in his chest, then spreads to his stomach. The sensation travels down his legs, slowly slithering downward to his feet like a lazy worm. It then makes its way up through his neck, towards his face. It passes behind him like rising mercury and finally peaks at the top of his head. A throbbing in his temples grows, and the faint cries seeping in the room are overpowered with the sound of his own thudding heartbeat. A trickle coming from somewhere below his intestinal wall notifies him the need to purge his bladder. He needs to move his legs, but can no longer figure out how to do it. So, do the machines involved standing up initially take place in the feet, knees, or hips? The room seems to be suspended in time with him frozen to the bed. He becomes conscious of a sharp pain in his back and concludes that he must be laying atop his spiral-bound notebook. He wishes that he could just go to sleep, but can't remember how to do that either. He just thinks he can hear the soft padding of feet coming from the hall. He cannot tell if the sound is growing or shrinking. With his own pulse deafening drum beat in his ear, he can't be absolutely certain if he heard anything at all. He takes a deep breath and holds it. Focusing his auditory faculties directly outside his door, he can now confirm the footsteps. A lumbering now immediately outside the room causes him to lose breath. He shuts his eyes and tries to protect himself in the hall. In what condition is this fumbling terror? What does it want tonight? The creature outside his door permits him a short moment of silence. Then, with a burst of thunder, his bedroom door flies inward. The letters comprising his name, which hangs on the door, rattles like bones. He opens his eyes just enough to see a naked silhouette of his father standing in the doorway. "You sleeping?" his father asked. The covers are pulled up to his nose. His father may just ignore him this time. "Mike." He pulls the covers down to his chest, faking lethargy. He answers, "I'm sleeping, Dad. What do you want?" Mike's cries, though his father's intermittent grunts, are audible from the hallway. His mother, curled in the corner, tucks the polyester blanket pitted from cigarette embers over her shoulders and clasps the leather-bound relic in her arms. "Remember not the sins of my youth, nor the transgressions, according to thy mercy. Remember thou me for thy sake of goodness sake, O Lord," she repeatedly whispers in hopes of being answered. And that, kids, is the end of chapter 1. So if you want to read the rest here, and it's a pretty decent sized book here, just a preview here. If you want to read the rest, check us out. You can buy this on, like I said, Amazon.com. There's a link down here in the description. Just click on that. They'll ship it right to your door. So about $12. Then it depends on where you live is how much your shipping and handling is going to be. This is Dave Koco's first book. If you want to read more material by Dave Koco, it all starts with this. It all, you know, because if he sells a lot of these, they're going to want to give him another one, and then maybe another one. So, and hey, that way we can say we know an award-winning author. So be sure to check that out, and also subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And that's going to do it for us. So this is Booms, first the Koco Guru, saying the boom just went bang, and I am out.